Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to make a comment on some things that happened this week. I believe happened yesterday or the day before, where a Yid who I don't know. I know he's on the radio. I think I don't know, some kind of Askin. Hashi Tischler went with a few kids, Hasidic kids. He's not a Hasidic guy. He's a clean-shaven guy. Not that it makes a difference. And I guess some Hasidic Galite also, and they took I don't know, some kind of tool to cut things, I don't know what it's called, to cut off some kind of a lock that was on a park in Brooklyn area. And it brings up a good point that it's not fair what's going on, that everybody else allowed to have their parks and Indian haben nicht. Aber, however, everyone else has the parks, but the Jewish community is being discriminated against in this manner. But he's sending the wrong message, especially to those kids. And kids are very easily influenced, and they're very impressionable. And to do something like that, to make this kind of a statement with these kids there, he's teaching these kids a really bad lesson. The fact of the matter is, we, the Jewish people, we are different. And we are in exile, as much as we are patriotic Americans, and I consider myself 100% an American. I have no dual loyalties to Israel or to any other country. I'm proud of my heritage of rabbis from Hungary, and go back to Germany and Bohemia and other places where my ancestors were people, men who served God, men and women who served God. I mean, we think of Rebbetzin Chava Bacharach, the Baba of the Chavas Yor. That's why he named the Sefer Chavas Yor after his Baba, a holy woman, a learned woman, a scholarly woman. The Shloh Kodesh was also a Zayda from the other side, tried to make a shidduch with her, and he in his humility, he felt he wasn't worthy. With the Zayed Tzedekis. So this is my heritage on at least one side of my family. My Zayda's family, my mother's father's family, Rabbonim and Krula and Chenger more recently. Well, 200 years ago, But I'm proud of this heritage. But I'm also proud of my American heritage. My family's been in America on other sides of my family for generations. I know from my Baba's side, they were here in America, I think before the Civil War even, in Pennsylvania. Here, I'm in Pennsylvania right now. Not in this area is where they were from. They were further west, in Bradford. We made videos there. I'm 100% American. My religion happens to be Judaism. Part of my religious devotion is related to my ancestry, but that's not the be-all and end-all, because I believe, a pious Ger Tzedek is much more Jewish than an atheist who happens to have some kind of a Jewish ancestry. And this whole, yichus means only something. It's a bunch of zeros. You have to be that one in front of those zeros on one hand. On the other hand, it's also an issue of humility. That when we think about, and I think about what a big tzaddik the Chavas Yor was, what a big tzaddik Maral Prague was, and Mosai Avay Maisei L'Maisei Avoisai, with what a Rasha I am, it humbles me. Notwithstanding any other aspect of my ancestry, purpose of this pride and this heritage is to be humbling. Ironically, it's to say that we're not as good as our ancestors were, and we have to work to get there. With all that being said, let's get back to the current events. Just want to put everything in perspective. There's no room for hooliganism and for vandalism, even when it's justified. It's not for us, because we are an exiled people. As much as we are Americans, we are also exiled. Exile is not merely in location, but it's a metaphysical exile, meaning we speak of Galus Yavon, of the Greek exile, when the people were in the Holy Land. The temple was standing. And there, we all know the story of Hanukkah. We were in exile. And so we have to act like we're in exile. We have to be humble. We have to be humble all the time. And there's no allowance, halachically speaking, to engage in hooliganism and vandalism. We have to grow up. And I understand the frustration. Especially, we have, I let my kids play video games, and I think a lot of Siddish people now do allow their children to play video games, still a height. Even their, the Jewish stores sell video games now. They just make sure that they're kosher, and things like that. But we have to have self-control, for sure, which is difficult, and I struggle with that very much. Oh, well. So we have to work on these types of issues, but recognize that it's not going to be easy, and I think the real answer here, though, is that our community became too reliant on the city. City life, it's not good. And I'm not saying everyone should move to the existing communities, Bloomingburg or bigger communities, Monroe, Muncie, things like that, which are already ausgespielt. But to start more small communities here and there. People are welcome to move to our community at White Lake. Beautiful place to live. Clean, nice, safe place. I know people, they move like into Monticello and these other not so safe neighborhoods. White Lake, New York, we have a Bismedrish, we have a very Choshev Rav. I just ask, if you move to our neighborhood, you daven in our shul and don't start a new shul. We daven Nusach Sfard. We welcome everybody. Maybe help us build a mikveh, something like that, and we can, we can build something, and it'll be a beautiful, beautiful place to live. It is a beautiful place to live, but living in Brooklyn, Borough Park, Williamsburg, Crown Heights, Flatbush, these places, they're miserable places, and it's producing miserable people, and it's just time to leave. It's time to, and people are, the Zionists are all going to say it's time to get up and move to Israel. That's missing out on the point of why God put us in exile and what the purpose of the Jewish people is. We're here to be a light unto the nations, a kingdom of priests, a holy people. We're here for a purpose. And when we sequester ourselves and put ourselves in these types of situations where we are where we ghettoize ourselves, and we're not out there. Like I see our Rav, Rabbi Fishbane Kanai Hara, he's not a young person, and the way he interacts with the other nations of the world in our community, it's beautiful, it's inspiring, because he just acts in a normal way. He's friends with everybody, goes out of his way, and what do we see, and where do we find the problems is the Jewish people, the non-religious Jewish people. They don't like to see a rabbi with a long beard and a black coat and a black hat, but everybody else, all the Christians who are our neighbors, we get along very, very well, and we live in peace, and we encourage one another. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Not that we're trying to change anybody else, not that we're trying, but just to be there, be in the world, be a light unto the nations, be there to help other people feel inspired, but when we do things like this, selfish things like this, breaking and entering into, even though I understand we're paying taxes and so forth, and it's not fair, it doesn't matter. We're supposed to, it's not that the rest of the world has to hold us to a higher standard necessarily, but we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, and we have to teach our children that. And there was a call for a protest about parks and about the camps and this and that. All the yeshivas said don't go. Maybe only, out of how many thousands and thousands of kids, maybe 50 kids showed up at these protests, because it's not what we're supposed to do. And the rabbis were correct in saying we should not do these things. We shouldn't be, it's not our place to be protesting and doing these types of things. It's worthwhile to protest when we want to demonstrate that we have nothing to do with certain elements that claim to speak on behalf of the Jewish people, like the Zionist state. And even then, you have to pick your battles. It's when it's a really serious issue that we have to work on this. But other than that, we have to be humble, and certainly we have to follow the law. If we're going to protest, we're going to do anything else, it's absolutely illegal to do breaking and entering. It's a big chil Hashem. It's a desecration of the name of the Lord, and there's no place for that in our society. Just because other people do these things, we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. So I hope Mr. Tischler, he seems like a nice person, he seems like he means well. He should adopt Chivatin, and he has to pay for the damage that he did. And it really, and he should apologize to the Jewish community for doing that type of thing. That's I think the biggest thing. He has to apologize to us for what he did, making us look bad. It's on the cover of the newspaper now. Parks and recs. So, but God should have mercy on him. God should have mercy on all of us. We're all sinners. We all need to fix and do what we're supposed to do. And we're all frustrated, and that doesn't justify, though, doing anything illegal. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you all later. Take care.